Okay, so there were yesterday they announced like the last cards, a lot of new cards on the Hearthstone channel, and these cards they will probably all come out with the new expansion, but hopefully will be really fast. I would like that it will be really out fast. And the first card is Arcane Blast. Deal 2 damage to a minion. This spell gets double bonus from spell damage. 1 mana. When I see this card, like, I imagine already the Malygos value. I mean, if you play this with Malygos, it goes to 7 and it will deal 14 damage to a minion. But the thing is, it is like deal 14 damage to a minion. So how good is that? Like, how good is that? Like, because it's to a minion, it cannot be really good. I mean, you have the Flame Waker, you have the Frostbolt. Is it gonna be really good? I don't think it is gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be really good. It is a cool spell. It is something they really tried to make like an archetype with the mage spell damage, but I don't think it's gonna be really good. 12 damage, yeah. Like, is it gonna be good with 12 damage on me? I don't think it's gonna be good. It cannot be really good, right? Because it's just to a minion, I don't think it is gonna be really good. So, yeah, let's just move on to the next card. Beer Trap. Secret: after your hero is attacked, summon a 3/3 Beast with taunt. That's actually a pretty decent one. I can really see the mid-range hunter or control hunter being benefited from this one. It is not a card you will say at the start that it is amazing. But like, imagine like 2 mana and just having a 3/3 beer with taunt. Like, you have like the beer now that is already a 3/3 with taunt, but it's not really playable because it's 3 mana, but it's not a bad one. And for 2 mana, the card is pretty insane. And I can see this card being really good in any card. Like, if you get it from Mad Scientist, it might be even better than free. It might be the best trap together with Freezing Trap in a control mid-range hunter. So I can see this card being actually pretty good. I see a lot of potential in this card. Yeah, I can see this card being really good. Whenever your hero 6 mana 3 now. Whenever your hero takes damage, this minion takes a damage instead. So if the first thing we look, like, what are the 6 drops that are being played now? Sylvanas, Emperor. Yeah, Sylvanas, Emperor are the most played 6 drops. But they have like a really other way. It's a legendary. I think this card is a bit too slow for his stats wise. Like, it's a cool card. I like what it does, but is it really stronger than an Healbot? Because like, I compared a bit with an Healbot. It might work in some way, but like, you can even like not even attack the hero, and it makes already no sense at all. You can even just like, the only thing you do is not attacking the hero and just trading on board. Like, this is only a card that will be okay if there is like a lot of aggro. In a control meta, this card is garbage. I don't really see this card being good. In arena, it's not a good card either, because it's all about board control. So don't think this card is gonna be really insane. Put it a bit more on stream, okay. Bone Guardlet and gain +1 health. It's too slow. It's a 2-drop 3/2. It's something you have to play at turn 4 because of the Inspire effect. The effects that you can get from Inspire, like, there are cards that are way more powerful out of this. It's one of the worst Inspire effects out of the set. If you get, like, it's too expensive to gain 1 health for this Inspire effect. I don't really see this card being powerful enough. It's not gonna make it, this card. There are Inspire effects that are way more powerful than this one, and the best one, like getting a 2 mana 3/3 at turn 4, I don't really see that being good enough. Whenever you equip a weapon, give it +1 attack. Like, how good is that? The only reason this card can be decent is if it will be, like the only reason you're gonna play this card is in a pirate rogue deck, of course. But I don't really think this card has, like, in a rogue archetype with a lot of paladins, it might fit it. Like, it's a cheap paladin, it's playable, it's a 2-1, might be a 3-1, it's not terrible, but like, there's only one, like, this is a terrible card overall. It's a bad arena card, it's a bad value card. It's only a card you will see being in rogue if there is like a rogue pirate archetype. What might be considered, because there are a lot of cards that are okay. So I can see this card being playable in a rogue. Yeah, I can see this card being playable. 7 mana, 5/9 vanilla minion. So what are the 7 drops that are being played now? There are not many neutral, like Dr. Boom. Compare it with Dr. Boom, and Dr. Boom is laughing. Because this card is, Dr. Boom is so much stronger at 7 mana. It's a good arena card, it's a beast. Does that make sense if it is a beast? Does it really influence anything if it is a beast? Don't think it makes much sense. I think this, if the card is cool as a vanilla card, it's a cool card to have in the set. If you compare it to Bull the Fist Ogre, but Bull the Fist Ogre is already not being played. Yeah, I don't really see this card being good at all. It's like the same stats as Core Hound, but better. Like, it's a better card than Core Hound for sure. Because of the stats. It's not a bad one, but don't really see it being that good. Wow. Taunt, Death Rattle, if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions. There is the Gimp Patron counter, guys. There is the Gimp Patron counter, but is it like really a good Gimp Patron counter? Because it's an expensive card. I like the card, I like what it does. It is only gonna be played, like, it's really slow. Like, it reminds me of the card of Troxor, because it was also in 7 mana 6/6, where everyone said, oh wow, this card is insane. And it came out that the card was just too slow. The only reason we don't play Troxor is because the card is too slow. And that's the thing I'm a bit worried about this card too. I don't see this card being like as worse as Troxor is, but it is gonna be really slow, 7 mana 6/6. It's really gonna be slow. And yes, it is a Gimp Patron counter, but yeah, the Gimp Patron is gonna execute this and make his... Yeah, like, it is a card that is really good against Patron. I like they have some cards that hating Patron a bit. How do you go? But yeah, like, it is a really good Patron counter. I like... Maybe I'm a bit too negative about this card. I'm just a bit like, if I look at the stats, it's not powerful. It makes the dragon deck a bit better actually, because it is a pretty okay dragon card. But is it really gonna make it? I question it, because it's really slow. It's really slow. So yeah, I see a lot of potential in this card, but from the other side, it might be too slow. Competitive Spirit. This is a really interesting card actually, because it's the first Paladin secret that, or it's the first secret in general that that will be played on your own turn. It will pop out on your own turn, and it says when your turn starts, give your minions +1/+1. It has some really good things together with Muster of Battle, for example. Then it will be pretty powerful. I can see this card being played in an aggressive Paladin. The aggressive Paladins that are out now with a lot of 1 and 2 drops, it might be okay in that deck. I don't really see mid-range Paladin benefit from this card. It's also a card that you have to play in your deck. It's a card you have to put out another card. It's a card that is not really consistent. Like, if you have only 1 minion, you are... It does like... Getting +1/+1 for on 1 minion is not good. Getting it on 2 minions might be a bit better. I don't think this card is good in mid-range Paladin. It might be good into an aggressive Paladin. I can really see it working there. I don't think Paladin has enough ways to work together with Mad Scientist because they don't have enough secrets or expensive secrets for it. But it works also well with Avenge, so it might be playable. But I still question it a bit. I'm not really sure. Dalaran Aspirant. Inspire, gain +1 spell damage. Dalaran. Gain spell damage. Like, in general, I don't really like the spell damage thing that they try with Mage. I don't really see that thing really working. All the spell damage cards that are out now are Ezreal, Telnos, and they are just much better. Like, for 1 more mana you get an Ezreal that gets the spell damage already. You get a card draw already. Like, it's so much more, like the Ezreal is so much stronger. I don't see this card being played competitive. Like, for a 4-drop, the 4-drop that are being played now, like the Shredder is the most popular neutral 4-drop. The other 4-drops are mostly class 4-drops. I don't think this card is really gonna making. It's a cool thing, but like the Inspire effect is so slow, and it's not like getting a +1 spell damage for an Inspire. I don't think, like, it's a mage card. It's not a neutral, so I don't think this is really gonna make it, actually. I would like that this card is gonna make it, but I think the spell damage archetype is not gonna work for mage. Dragonhawk Rider. Inspire, gain Wind Fury this turn. So, when I read this card, I look a bit at Raging Worgen. So why would you play this card over Raging Worgen? It doesn't do anything more than Raging Worgen, right? This card is terrible. What? It's like a Raging Worgen without Wind Fury, and yes, if you get the Inspire off, it will be a Raging Worgen. Why? Why did they make this card? Or am I missing something? This card is just a worse Raging Worgen. I mean, if it had charge or something, it could be. It made some sense, but this doesn't make any sense, right? Next card, please. I'm not gonna talk more about this card. Oh my god, Element Destruction. Like, when I saw this card, I mean, it's just a super cool new card. Overload 5, deal 4/5 damage to all minions. And all damage is like also your own minions. Like, I was missing this at the start when I was reading this card, but all minions, what means it also does to your own minions. Like, I like the card. Like, it really makes the overload interesting, because now you might consider playing Lava Shock in a heavy overload deck. I can see this card like work together with the Ancestral Spirit, a heavy overload deck. Like, I really see potential for that new Shaman archetype deck. So I like the card. It's a really fancy card, actually, with dealing 4/5 damage to everything. Like, together with a Malygos deck and an OTK Shaman deck, it might be really interesting. I really like that they put this card out. Like, and you can also just play it at 3 mana. When you are behind on board, you just spend 2 turns to deal with the board. It's not terrible. So, I can see this card being working. It's a really interesting card. I really love it. It also works together well in a Death Rattle deck. Like, if you play with a lot of Death Rattles, you kill your own minions with your Death Rattles, and your minions only get stronger. Next turn you Lava Shock. Like, this card has a lot of potential. It really puts Shaman in another spot. So I'm not sure like how this card is gonna pay off, but this card has a lot of potential. I'm sure that a lot of people will try this card out. King's Elekk, Battle Cry, reveal a minion in each deck. If your cost more, draw it. This is a really good card, I think. This is one of the better cards. Like, it doesn't look amazing, but this is a beast, and having beast already is nice for the hunter. The Battle Cry is nice. I mean, it is just if you draw it. If you lose the Battle Cry, it's not bad. Then you just don't draw it. It's, of course, you want to draw it, but it's not bad. But just on 3/2 beast as a 2-drop, like, it has pretty good stats. Like, even in a mid-range hunter, like, just playing this at turn 2, like, how bad can it be? And play it in a mid-range hunter together with high mains, together with booms, together with a doctor boom. It's pretty good. It stacks well with the other beast cards that came out. It's even better into control hunter, because you always still have to handle the early game. Like, I don't mind this being played at turn 2. It does well with Houndmaster together. Does it really make sense if the opponent sees what card you're gonna draw? Because you're gonna draw the card that reveals. I don't think it matters much. Yeah, they see you drawing on high main. Well, they can play around it, but how much can you play around it? You cannot really play much around it, right? I think I really like this card, actually. It's a cool card. It's not broken. It's not bad. It's not insane, but it's really strong. It might be one of the better cards out of this set. I like this card. Knight of the Wild, and when I saw this card, it was like, the first thing that you have to look, like, there are two things you have to evaluate. The first thing is, when do you want to play a 6/6? When do you want to play an 6/6? 7 mana is too expensive. Like, you don't want to play in 7 mana 6/6. Do you want to play it for 6 mana? Not really, right? Then and it's like the Sylvanas Emperor turn. It's not terrible, but it's not worth it for 6 mana. If you play it for 5 mana, then it's good, right? I mean, if you compare it to the Druid of the Claw, what is a 4/6? It's pretty good to play it for 5 mana. So at 5 mana, the card gets like really valuable, but but you have to play it in a Beast Druid deck. And how many Beast Druids are there? There are some Beast Druids already with Druid of the Claw that are just really good. But you have to play it with another beast, and what Blizzard did is like revealing a lot of beasts for Druid, and it might be a cool archetype. Like, it is one of the things I will try out. As a Druid player, I want to see how good Beast Druid is, and some of the Beast Druids are pretty okay. So, and if you have it in the starting end, like, the problem having it in the starting end is you cannot play it early, and you have to play your other beast early. So it will be a dead card in the starting hand. And if you draw it later, well, if you draw it later, then you can always still play it for 7 or 6 mana. It's still not a problem. It might be a pretty good card. I can see this card being, I can see this card working. I actually, I see potential in this card. Five mana Inspire, gain +2/+2. Like, I like the Inspire effect, but it's not good, right? You pay, like, even if it goes off, like, for 7 mana, it gets a 6/6. And then I see the Dr. Boom, I see in Buldavist Ogre. Like, even, like, in Buldavist Ogre is not even being played. And it is even worse than that. Like, you have to put off 2 Inspire effects, and when are you gonna get it off? Like, it looks like the Floating Watcher from the Warlock card. Like, it's a 5 mana 4 floor +2/+2 if your hero takes damage, and that's already a card people are not considering. Okay, this is a neutral, so it gets a bit better, because I don't think Warlock is the deck that has the best hero power together with Inspire. yes, you draw, but the other cards, the other hero powers contest the board better. So yes, it might be a bit better for in other archetypes, but it's so expensive. Like it's gonna be too slow. It's gonna be too slow, basically. Magma Alpha, 5/3, 4 mana. Also damage the minion next to wherever it's attack. So basically you expect this card being played on turn 4 and not die. Wow. That's bad. Because the 2-drops are trading into 3 health. All the spells dealing like Ref, Frostbolts, weapons, like everything trades in 3 health. Then you have the... Yeah, this card cannot be good. Every drop trades into it. And even, like, it's only good if your opponent has minions. Because then you trade with more minions. But when your opponent has minions, they're gonna trade into this card. So, this card is not gonna work. Sorry, Warrior, but this is not a card you will see. It's also a really bad arena card. Because if simply the opponent has minions and they trade with their minions in this card, it's just not good. Yeah, Murloc Knight. Summon a random Murloc as Inspire. So what is the average stats of a Murloc? Is it a 2/2? Is that average for a Murloc? Probably. Like, it might be being insane if you get the right Murloc. I don't say this card is bad, but... Like, why is this a Paladin card? Because Paladin has nothing together with Murlocs. So, yeah, that's like the sad thing. Like, I don't really get why it is a Paladin card. Nah, it might be a really good arena card. Like, if you get Inspire effect of like twice, like, getting Inspire effect of twice, this is one of the cards that gets really powerful, but... Yeah, I don't know. It's a really cool card, like... I like the card, but I don't think it's gonna make it. At least not in Paladin. No, I don't really see this card being worked, so... Let's just move on. Pit Fighter. Well, it was the Vanilla we were missing, right? The 5 mana Vanilla. 5/6. So yeah, what to say about this card? We have the Yeti, 4/5. We have the Ogre. The Yeti is 4 mana, 4/5. The Ogre is 6 mana, 6/7. It trades really well into 5-drops, right? It trades well into Belcher. It trades well into Low Tap. It trades well into Emperor. It trades into Sylvanas. It trades really well into everything. Like, it has to be a really good card in Arena. Is it a card in Constructed? It might be not powerful enough for a 5-drop, but it's a card, like, it's a cheap card, so people that don't have access to all the cards, it's a card you really can consider playing. I like the card. I really like the card, actually, that they gave this card out, so... it might work. I can see it working, actually. It's like a really good arena card for sure, so yeah, it's a cool card in this set. 5 mana, add a Squire to your hand. Recruiter, attend me, is what the Squire says, right? Add a I know what that the Squire is a 1 mana 2/2, so it's a play you do at 7 mana. As a 5-drop, it doesn't really have insane stats. You can play it at turn 5. I mean, 5 mana. It's like one of the cards with an Inspire effect that has already okay stats from himself. But I think it is too slow still. It is a cool card if you can get the Inspire effect of that turn. But it's not something that influences the board, so it might be still too slow, I think. It's really hard to get this card off, yeah. It is a cool card, but it might be too slow. Not really excited about this card. Refreshment Vendor. Battle Cry, restore 4 health to your hero. So if you look at the stats of this card, 4 mana, 3/5, it's a fair stats. It's a really fair stats for 4 mana. It's like the most average stats we have here. And the Battle Cry, like, it's simply a card that is really good against aggro decks. It's a 4-drop you just play at 4. It's a bit like, you can compare it a bit in some way to Zombie Chow. That is like a good minion early game, good against aggro because of the stats. But this card is good because of that. Like, if you compare it to Healbot, is it good? I mean, it restores less, but it restores. And it has better stats. Like, I can see this card being played over Healbot maybe. Or is that really weird to say? Like, it restores less, but you can play it earlier, it has better stats. It's really a card with potential. Like, in control decks, you don't care that you heal your opponent, so... Yeah, I can see this card being played, actually. I actually like this card. Like, both heroes, like, you don't care in control decks, so... if it heals each hero... Like, if you're playing... Like, of course you don't play this card in an aggro deck, but... If you play it into a control deck and you heal both heroes, like, you don't care healing your opponent, so... That's a good card. It is a card with potential. Okay, so we have the... Saboteur. Your opponent hero power costs 5 more mana next turn. It's like a low tap effect. And is it as powerful as low tap? No, it isn't. Because the hero power, like, the hero power is just not as powerful as spells. And, like, does it really make sense you're gonna not hero power a turn? There's not any class that's where the hero power, like, it is more like an Inspire counter card, but I don't think, like, the Inspire cards that we saw yet are, like, insane. So is it really gonna work? I really question it. I don't think, like, 3 mana 4/3, the stats are also pretty decent. The effect is not really powerful, so I don't really see this being played as a good 3-drop. The stats are pretty decent, so it's not a bad card for sure. But, nah, no, I don't really like it. Seal of Champions. Gain a minion +3 attack and Divine Shield. So you can compare it to a Blessing of Might, but you get a Divine Shield for 2 more mana. How much is a Divine Shield worth? I would say it's worth 1 mana. There is a card that gets a Divine Shield for 1 mana. So... do you really like... You have to play this in an aggressive paladin, and if you compare it to Blessing of Might, it's pretty bad, right? It feels like a Blessing of Kings, it feels like more powerful. Blessing of Might is just better, and you just don't get the Divine Shield. I can see this being played into an aggressive paladin, but I think the other spells, it is just too much. Like, the other spells are more powerful. It's not powerful enough if you compare it to the other spells the paladin has yet. So it's a cool card, but it's not gonna make it, unfortunately. Whenever you draw a card, reduce its cost by 1. It's a priest card, 3 mana 3/3. It's an okay card. Yeah, it's not a really good... Yeah. It's not a really good card, right? If you play it... Like, it's cool that you reduce the cost by 1. Like, it has an Emperor effect, but when can you... Like, you play it at turn 3, you hope it survives, and the rest that you draw, and you need to trade well. It's gonna be... I don't think this is like a really... And Priest has already some powerful 3-drops, so... I don't really see this card being powerful enough. It might not be, Nah, I don't think this card is gonna be powerful enough. Unfortunately. Like, you need to get combos of, like, Cleric with a Circle of Healing, draw 2 or 3 cards. These 2 or 3 cards will get cheaper. Like, you need to have, like, insanely good, combos. You need to do it together with like Powerwall Shield. Oh, that's true. Like with Powerwall Shield, it gets powerful. Like as a turn 3 play, you get a 3/5 and you draw a card and the card gets cheaper. Yeah, like the combos are really fine. Like it's not a bad card, but you really need a lot of combos. And Priest already relies so many on combo effects that it might be a bit too inconsistent. Okay, another pirate card for Rogue. If you have a pirate, gain +1/+1. It is a cool card. I mean, from his stat wise, it's not a bad card, and the pirate effect is pretty powerful here, so I can see this card being work in a pirate. Like this card, of course, only works in a pirate rogue deck, but the pirate rogue deck was already okay, and it really has some good cards now, so I can see this being work in a paladin rogue deck. Pirate rogue deck, sorry then. But yeah, it's not a bad card. I can see this working, so I don't really like the pirate rogue deck from myself, but like there's no way you play this in a normal rogue deck, of course. But the stat wise, it's already decent. If you have like one pirate on board, like 3 mana 5/4 is really powerful, so I like this card. I really like it. Okay, this is like an amazing copy your opponent's hero power, so like it's a really funny card, but in which deck do you want to play it? Like which deck has like the worst hero power? I don't see this card being good. I mean, it's so expensive for its cost. The stats are not amazing. It's cool that you can get your opponent hero power, but when do you want to play it? Like, I don't see this card. It's a really new type of card, but nah. When do you want to play this, man? In Shaman. Playing it in Shaman. It's like it's really powerful if there is like an Majormo on board and you get the Ragnarok's hero power or the Jirax's hero power. Like then it is powerful, but yeah, in what world will this happen? That will not happen much. Like, of course you will get funny videos where you copy the Jirax's hero power or the Majorno hero power, but it's not a card you play in Constructed. It's a cool card, but it's not gonna be playable. Not in Constructed, at least. Taunt. Battle Cry, give a minion taunt. This is actually a pretty nice card. This is an... it really can make... Like, they really try to make either Dragon or Taunt Warrior possible. And I compared it a bit with Sunfury Protector. And Sunfury Protector is a good 2-drop, but it is being played only in Handlock and in Echo Mage. And why is it played? Because you play a lot of Giants. If you're gonna play with Dragons or with a Taunt heavy deck, this might be a good card, and it also makes like really cool things happen with the Battle Cry. Like you can also give your opponent minion taunt. So if they have a taunt on board, you give another minion taunt of them, and you can trade into that minion to make better trades. You can taunt a minion of your opponent and Black Knight it. But like just as a 2-drop, it has already good stats and it has taunt from himself. It gives some Battle Cry with having a taunt. Like you make to have like a good warrior taunt deck happen, or good minions that you can that you can play with taunts. But I like this card. I mean, it is a really good card. So yeah, I like it. It has a lot of potential. I can see this card working out well. So, they try something different with Priest. Deal 5 damage to the enemy hero. Or to each hero. Wow, each hero. Wow. So also your own face. So Priest goes aggressive. 4 mana 5/4. Also aggressive stats. Not amazing stats for 4 mana. And it is an Inspire effect. So it's something that goes off after. This is... It cannot be good. This cannot be good. Like, it's a funny card, and of course people gonna try to make this card happen. But there's no way this card is gonna be amazing. You can also, this synergizes really well with Arcane, right? Yeah. This card is not good enough. Like, you try to make it in an aggro priest deck, but aggro priest is... Why would you make aggro priest if there are so many better aggro classes, like... 4 damage, nah. I don't see this card being working, man. It's too expensive, it's too slow, it's not gonna work. Stable Master. 4 mana, give a friendly beast immune this turn. So... I compared it a bit with 2 cards. I compared a bit with the Panther, because it is also in 3 mana 4/2. It has stealth, and now you get a friendly beast immune. This effect is better, I would say. If you compare it with Houndmaster, is it better? Like, you play this on you want to play this at turn 3, right? And you